Greetings. You know, I've been doing these videos for, goodness, almost 10 years now. And one of the things that's very odd is that I actually have more videos than I have subscribers. I have broken one of those tenets that a lot of the YouTube professionals say that you have to do to get to at least 1,000 subscribers. That being that you have to have at least 4,000 viewed hours of all your videos. Well, I'm close to 8,000 and I got 515 subscribers, 516 videos. This one will actually be number 517. That's not a great mark. My friend Peter, who runs my Bonzer channel, actually picked on me about it once, where he says, well, it looks like every time you have a video, you get a subscriber. Well, now I'm behind that, so I gotta work on that again, but that's okay, because, you know, I think that when you're looking at doing YouTube videos and you're looking to grow your channel, you can do one of two things. One is that you find a specific niche, and by the way, I say niche. There's a lot of people who say niche, but when I was a kid, it was a niche. So I refuse to go with the younger people who call it something else. Just not gonna do it. That's how I grew up. And you can find one of those and just stick to that all the time. Well, you know what? That's boring. I mean, let's face the fact here. I have a business blog, and I could talk only about healthcare, or I could talk only about leadership, or I could talk only about diversity, or I could talk about all those things. And I can talk about marketing because I'm a self-employed person. You know, I'm an independent consultant. So I can talk about that. I can talk about branding if I want to, because all of those things are part of who I am as a business person. When I talk about my I'm Just Sharing blog, well, I could talk about just blogging. I've done tons of videos here on blogging. I could talk about social media because, you know, I've done a lot about that. I can talk about writing, or, you know, I could talk about a ton of things. So my thought is that, like I said, you have the folks who do niche marketing or niche videos, and then you have folks who are kind of like me. My thing has always been to try to do things that either entertain or inform or instruct. That's always the big three. I mean, really, that's the big three of YouTube. It's the big three of doing blogging. With that said, what I try to do is I try to help. I give tips on different types of things. I give my opinion on different things. Most of the time, it's what's going on in the world now. You know, what's going on in the world now. This has been a horrible year. Let me just say that. This has been a bad year across the board for everybody. So I don't have a monopoly on having a bad year. So this is one of those kind of things I talk about. What I'm going to talk about today, to stick with the theme of my trying to help, is I'm going to talk about quadrants as far as it goes with your life. You know, one of the things I'm really working on is trying to get better at a whole bunch of things. And it's hard to do that if you don't know what those things are. So what I've done is I've come up with what I call the quadrants. You know, you probably have seen them before. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second here. But in essence, it's breaking things into 4 different categories. You can do either fewer or more. But I'm going with the quadrant thing because these are the 4 big things for me to be working on. And maybe you have something in your life that this might help. Or even if you don't want to do the quadrant, maybe you realize that there's something, you know, that's missing from your life or something you want to add to your life. You can do the same thing. But it helps to write things down. Everybody has said that. Almost any motivational speaker you talk to has said that. Psychologists have said that. Philosophers have said that. Scientists write stuff all the time. It's just a smart thing to try to do. I'm not going to lie. It can be scary, especially if you're honest with yourself, because we don't like looking at things that reflect badly on us. And by badly, there's things we don't necessarily want to own up to that we may not have full control over. So I'm going to show you the quadrant system. I'm not going to show you my full original list of stuff. You don't need to see that. What I am going to show you, though, is an example. And I just want to get this out there. If this is the kind of thing you're looking for, please subscribe, like the video, comment on the video, share the video if you think about it. But I'm going to do other things too. But this is what I'm doing today. So the thing about the quadrant is I sat down and said, okay, what are the 4 major quadrant things that I want to address in my life? And I'm going to show you this. And it's hard for me to see. Anyhow, here's the 4 quadrants. And the first one here, I've never figured this thing out, is my mental state, and then my physical state, and then I'll bring it up here, business, since I'm self-employed, and then over here, my mother, because I've done videos where I've talked about my mother having dementia. And you see that I've written one thing under each one of these right now. I've got a bunch more on my original sheet. And so with Mom, it's helped getting her down the stairs, because that's become a really big issue for my mother. I basically now am kind of forcing her down the steps. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, because some people are going to say, you can't do that. It's the only way I can get Mom down the stairs. It's the only way to get her out of the house. Getting her in the house is easy. Getting her down the stairs, it ain't so easy. And then over here to business. So one of the things I've been doing a lot is, because this here is talking about LinkedIn, I've been doing a series of basically short informational things that are related to healthcare finance, which is, my main career. And they've been kind of taking off. It's been amazing. So I need to do a lot more of those. So I mentioned that because once you get people interested in you, then it gives you the chance to possibly do better marketing. And this is part of my marketing initially, but I haven't really reached out to anyone to try to do business. Now let's come down to physical. And this one here, you probably can't read it, but it says, touch my toes by September 1st, 2021. I ain't gonna lie. I am not the most flexible guy in the world. Matter of fact, I'm probably totally in the other direction. Even when I played a whole bunch of sports, I could never touch my toes. It was just impossible. I haven't been able to touch my toes since I was 6 years old. Yes, I'll admit to that. So what is that now? 55 years I haven't been able to touch my toes? So it's going to be my goal to be able to touch my toes pretty much a year from now. And I've already started working on that. And then finally, well actually this was first, but mental health. And what I wrote down here is to figure out how to bring my heartbeat down, how to slow it down. Because the problem that I have, I'm just going to set this over here. One of the problems that I have, I've had it for about 6-9 months. Okay, that's a lie. I probably have had it for like 3 or 4 years now. Is there are times where I'm laying down and I'm ready to go to bed and my heart starts beating really hard. And if my heart starts beating really hard, I can't go to sleep. Sometimes I wake up and my heart has started beating really hard. Now, sometimes this happens when my glucose goes low and it wakes me up, which is a good warning sign. Yes, thank you. I come check. Oh, glucose is low. Let me go get some Ritz crackers and something to drink and bring it back up. Other times, I've talked to my physician about this in the past, and I spoke to, of all things, the sleep doctor about this, and both of them say the same thing. It's stress. They know that because I've been to a cardiologist, I was tested, I'm fine, my heart is fine. It doesn't get fast, it just gets hard. So I have to learn how to relax. I have to learn how to meditate or just chill. I'm started some of that right now, but I will tell you the truth, it's easier to do when you're awake than it is when you're trying to go to sleep or when you're being woken by that. So anyway, this is my thing. So you write all this stuff down. You write things that you want to do. You write things that you're doing that you want to stop. And you put it all out there. You have to be open. You really have to be willing to explore yourself like that. A lot of people are scared to do that. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I put this off for the longest time. Because I bought this thing at Staples. And, there's a whole bunch of paper, whole bunch of paper. And I bought this at Staples with the intention of actually doing this. And then I just sat on it. I just didn't, want to get there. Like I said, I've had a lot of things that have happened this year that I've had to deal with. And I just wasn't ready to get to that. So once you write it down, it's there. You can't run away from it. You can try, but it's always going to be there. I could throw it away, but I knew what I did. I wrote it down. So, like I said, this is just the start. I like to call it, the quadrant thing. I'm sure that there's someone out there who's going to say, hey, this reminds me of so-and-so. Because I'm not the first person who's come up with a quadrant. As a matter of fact, Mike Dooley, who I talked about a couple of years ago when I did his 30 days to change your life kind of thing, where he wrote a book and he has all these quadrant things in there. They're really complicated. My thing is nothing like his. My goodness. I'm sorry. It was a difficult book to read. It just was. It totally messed up my mind because I speed read. And I expect certain books to go kind of a certain way. And he just blew that up. I struggled getting through that book. But I said I was going to get through it because a friend of mine bought it for me. So I said, okay, I will read this book. That's what I get. I'm a good friend. Anyway, this is something I'm doing. Let me know if this is something you're thinking about doing. And let's see what happens. My name is Mitch Mitchell. Hope y'all enjoyed this. You take care.